Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to discuss the importance of not taking advice from people who haven't achieved the things that you want to do. Now, before we get started, I just want to say, look, there are people in this world who might not be subject matter experts, they might not know everything about everything, but they've got some very valuable bits of advice. And you should always live your life presuming that the person that you're speaking to knows something that you don't. You know, they've got unique experiences, they've got unique perspectives. No one's ever lived their life in the way that they have, and very possibly you might learn something. So always have an open mind. But what I'm speaking about today is something very specific. You know, if you've got a specific goal and you can see very, very clearly, or you know that this person who is giving you advice on this specific thing has no experience, no knowledge, and no right to be telling you what you should do or advising you on it, then you absolutely shouldn't listen. Now, there's ways you go about this as well. If somebody is giving you advice, you don't just want to tell them, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, why are you telling me to get a six-pack, you weigh 34 stone? No, you don't need to say that. You don't need to be disrespectful to people. Always allow people to get what they want out of their system and give you that advice. And it's up to you whether you think it's good enough or whether you think it's reliable to take it. But if you're finding yourself in a situation where somebody is giving you advice and you don't think they've got any business to, just let them get it out, because often that's what it is. A lot of the time, people just want to be seen as helpful. People just want to get something out there. Sometimes it's way more about them than it is about you. So you're actually doing a kindness sometimes and just letting them get that bit of advice out of their system. Often it's advice that was well intended, but clearly that person isn't very reflective. You know, I've had it before where I've got fitness advice from somebody who's never trained in a gym in their life and is very, very physically unhealthy. And I'm kind of looking at this person without trying to give it away too much. It's very hard for me. I'm quite an honest person, but I'm looking at this person and I am thinking, really? You're qualified to? And sometimes it's mind-blowing. You really do scratch your head and you think, how has this person been allowed to get away with this before? But you must be respectful and you must let them get it out of their system. But it's important to have that open mind, as I said. But there are going to be so many people who give you advice on the specific thing that you want to do. Sometimes it's discouragement. Sometimes it's people that say, oh, you shouldn't do that, it's too risky. That will never work. Don't do that, it will all go wrong and then everything will be terrible and the world will burn down. Don't do that. You know, you really don't want to do that. Just stay here, stay at Tesco. Stay at Sainsbury's, you're safe there. You got to ignore that. In one ear, out the other, but as always, be respectful. As I said, sometimes people just want to be heard. Another thing to be cautious about is try not to take advice from people that you really don't respect. Because if you do take advice from people that you don't respect, one, I think it's morally and principally questionable. You know, if you're willing to take advice from people that you don't respect, that there's something off there. You know, if I really don't respect somebody, I'm not taking any advice from them because I look at the way they live their life and I don't want that for myself. So you got to be careful not to allow people who you don't want to become or become alike to influence the direction in which your life is going to go. As always, maintain respect. It's very, very important to allow people to think that what they're telling you, you're taking on board. It's a skill. It'll get you very, very far, professionally, personally, socially. You know, you don't want to be the guy that is always arguing, always telling somebody that they're wrong. You know, they might be wrong, and you know they're wrong, but you don't need to tell them they're wrong. It can bring a lot of resentment, and that is how you create enemies as well, which is probably a separate video in itself. Don't be the guy that is just shutting everyone down. You know, learn the time and the place and learn who to do these things to. Maybe if it's a family member, it's your brother, or it's a really close friend, you can say, nah, buddy, you're wrong. You're wrong. But at a business meeting or a formal occasion or a formal dinner, if somebody says a statistic that is completely incorrect, you don't then need to jump across the table and say, no, that's wrong, it's this. Because you're going to build a lot of resentment. I see a lot of people struggle with this, but it is a game. You've got to be really smart with the way that you conduct yourself, because maybe if you just kept your mouth shut and you nodded and you smiled and you were respectful, a nice opportunity comes your way. But because you had to be right, even though you knew you were right, which should be enough, you corrected them and then you created some resentment. Now, I'm not saying become a puppy. I'm not saying just shut up and lie down and let everybody spout a load of rubbish. No, there's lines, there's limitations, and it's up to you where to find that balance. But don't find yourself correcting everybody. So, you know, look, we've gone on a tangent a bit. Don't take advice from people you don't respect. Don't take advice from people that haven't done the things that you want to do. But always be respectful in the way that when you're having that conversation and the advice comes your way, take it on board, at least visually. You know, I was working the other night. I work a night's job alongside my studies at university, and a security guard came in, lovely guy. But again, he was really out of shape, really out of shape. I could see that, you know, back in the day, maybe he'd been physically fit and strong, and, you know, he could obviously look after himself. But one of the things that he was saying is that going to the gym is absolutely stupid. And anyone going to the gym is a muppet, basically. Yeah, you don't need to do all that stuff. It's a waste of time. And I am somebody that goes to the gym very frequently. I love going to the gym. I really enjoy going to the gym. Now, question of the day, did I decide to correct him? Yes or no? Fantastic, well done you. The answer is no. I decided not to. I decided, you know what, in that situation, it's not worth it. He's given me advice. He's trying to be helpful. He doesn't know what he's talking about, granted. But I'm not just going to sit there and correct him, especially not at 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it was. It was very late. But I've learned that through experience of being the guy who says, no, that's wrong. Being the guy that says, no, you're wrong. This is actually what the answer is, you know. Sometimes you just got to play the game. You know, don't take their advice, but play the game. That's a lot of this. And you can find yourself getting huge opportunities from that, just learning to play the game. So look, don't take advice from people that you don't respect, people that don't know what they're talking about, or people that haven't done the things that you want to do on the particular topic that, you know, you're talking about, or the thing that you want to do. But play the game, be smart. Always presume the person that you are talking to knows something that you don't. It's a very good rule to live your life by. But if you're sure that they don't, just play it smart. Be sensible. Don't jump in. Tell them that they're wrong and cause some resentment. That really can happen more often than you believe. Just let some things go. Find the balance. And when you do bump into somebody that knows what they're talking about and can give you advice that you need, listen to it. Listen to it attentively and then go and act on it. And it's as simple as that. Anyway, guys, look, that's all I've got for today. I really hope in one way or another you took some value from this video. If you did take some value from this video, make sure to smash the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so that you don't miss another video from me. Comment your thoughts down below. What is the worst bit of advice that you've ever received? I have received some terrible advice in my time. And yeah, that could be another video in itself. But look, as always, guys, thank you for your time and attention. And I will see you in the next one.